I actually was born in the island of Jamaica, and at the tender age of 7, my parents decided to move. They were going to also bring me to Bermuda. I ended up going to school, and this is where things sort of changed for me. Back to the fact that I talked different, I was different, they didn't know me from the start, and so I got called every name in the book. I had all sorts of black spots on my legs, and so I was called cruel names like fruitcake legs and who are you? Who do you think you are? And this basically put me in a place where I just felt like I did not belong. And so I tried many things to fit in with everybody else, and it just didn't work. Even trying to raise my hand to ask a question, I was just so nervous because it's going to be the dumb Jamaican girl again, right?
Welcome everyone to another episode of Meta Transitions. I am your host, Tricia-kay Williams, and I'm here with Janice Mullings-George. Janice is a mother to 2 beautiful girls, a wife to an amazing husband, Raymond George. Janice is also Bermuda's May 2019 to May 2020 Nurse of the Year. She's an author, speaker, life coach. Janice has a passion to help individuals unearth and unlock who they are so they can live to their God-given potential. Janice is also the founder and co-leader of Reset to Reboot. Please help me welcome Janice to our YouTube channel. Thank you. We're happy to have you, Janice.
Thank you so much, Tricia, for having me here today. I am just so excited to share and to be able to be of value.
Most definitely, most definitely. All right, Janice, so we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to just sort of ask you, what is your story?
Tricia. So I call myself really, really blessed because I was born in a beautiful island, and then I migrated to another beautiful island. And so I actually was born in the island of Jamaica, originally from the parish of Manchester. And at the tender age of 7, migration took place, right? Globalization has been impacting our world. And so my parents decided to move. Initially, my father, and then my mother later joined. And then due to another miracle and blessing and some prodding from my mom's doctor, Dr. Carr, she actually decided, and my father decided, they were going to also bring me to Bermuda. Yeah. And so here I am living in Bermuda 30 years later. And my journey, my story is definitely one that I can only say it was by the grace of God that I am where I am today. And I can honestly say, Tricia, it hasn't always been easy and glamorous and great. Yeah. I can remember actually moving from another country, right? So, when you move from another country, you bring with you your cultural norms, you bring with you your accent, you bring with you all kinds of things, right?
And so, definitely. Like, we can't hide it, especially if you're Jamaican.
Yes. No, you definitely can't hide it. And so here I was, landed in this 21/7 beautiful island of Bermuda. And now having to adjust, one, to being away from, what I knew as normal. Though I don't have a lot of memories from Jamaica, I do remember the food, right?
Yes.
And I remember being close to people that I knew. And so now I was in a whole different space. And of course, you've got to go to school, right? So I ended up going to school. And this is where things sort of changed for me. Because children, when children see someone who's new, it's always like, okay, who is she? And again, back to the fact that I talked different, I was different, they didn't know me from the start. Yeah. And so here I was at a school and now having to navigate how I was really going to find my way through being the newbie, right? And I can honestly say it was quite lonely initially because I think people have their opinions of people, right?
Mhm.
So coming from Jamaica, people have their opinions of Jamaicans, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of times we're not careful and sensitive to the fact that children listen to people talking or parents talking. And so they themselves form opinions of
Mhm.
other children. And so there I was, and that's when the teasing began.
Yes.
So you can't see it today, but I'm actually almost 6 feet tall. I'm
Mhm.
5 feet, 11 inches. They say 10 and a half, but I say 11, right? I
Yes.
steal that little bit. So I was tall and I was different, had a different accent, and I just did not fit into most of the circles that were there because everyone had kind of formed their little, cliques from
Mhm.
what they had when they started.
Mhm.
And so I got called every name in the book, jump up. And then because of being in Jamaica and having a lot of mosquito bites and being
Mhm.
allergic to mosquitoes,
Mhm.
I had all sorts of black spots on my legs. And so
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
called cruel names like fruitcake legs and, who are you? Who do you think you are?
Yes.
I had all of those names. And this basically put me in a place where I just felt like I did not belong.
I can imagine. I can imagine, and it's bullying, right?
Yeah.
It really is. But, when you're a kid, you don't really think about that, especially from the Jamaican context where it's sort of like, oh, we just gave her a nickname, or it's just
Mhm.
nicknames, but you recognize how that really impacts an individual. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So, yes, I was definitely bullied, and I think that started to form within me this thing about, yeah, do some of the things that they say really apply to who I was as a Jamaican? Am I a less of than everyone else? Is it because of, all these questions came in my mind, but they were private questions.
Yeah.
I didn't share them with my mom. I didn't tell her because I thought, she would probably be very upset. My mom is very direct.
Mhm.
So I could see
Mhm.
her marching down to school trying to address the situation. And I didn't want to create more problems for myself being a 7-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my thing was, let me see if I can deal with it on my own.
Mhm.
And so I tried many things to fit in with everybody else. And it just didn't work because, again, I was tall. It was a challenge to find long pants for me. And so I was always in skirts. And so, then came the teasing again. And so I became this individual who just doubted myself. I was always
Mhm.
afraid. And now I know what anxiety is. Back then,
Yeah.
I didn't really understand it was anxiety. But, even trying to raise my hand to ask a question, I was just so nervous because it's going to be the dumb Jamaican girl again, right? Asking
Mhm.
questions. Or, I just felt like I just did not fit in right and I didn't belong. And then the worst thing was that I was far away from my family, my
Yeah.
immediate family. And so, again, it was that lonely space. However, that's not how the story ends. And I'm so happy that that's not how the story ends. Because wherever you are in life, there's always someone.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's always a group of people that I believe God, because I believe in God, that He personally puts there to help you. And so I was so excited to be a part of a wonderful church family who not only embraced me, but there were people in that church family who actually sought out to make sure that I felt welcome.
Mhm.
And so I can remember joining the Pathfinder Club and going to Pathfinders. And I remember actually my first friend, her name was Adele. And I remember Adele, reaching out to me, talking to me, trying to make a connection with me. And then I started to feel like I mattered.
Mhm.
I started to feel like, okay, well, I guess what they're saying is not 100% all true. Yes, I still had to deal with a lot of the things inside me. However, I was able to now see just that glimmer of hope, just that light that I was valued. And then alongside that, there were so many individuals, but one particular person I'd like to single out, and, God bless her soul, she's resting now, but my Aunt Janet. And Aunt Janet, she made it her point. As a matter of fact, my daughter, one of my daughter's middle name is Janet because I named them after her. She made it her point to be there for me. I don't know if she saw or she knew, but it was always, nope, come on, Janice, we're going to go and have a fish sandwich and we're going to sit by the water and talk about life. And Aunt Janet made sure she was there. Yes, I was so thankful because coming from a home where there was worship every single morning, believe it or not, my parents always had worship every single morning. That's what gave me the strength. I truly believe now, having that, whether we were running late or not, but pausing to actually pray, and my parents reading the Bible, and my Aunt Janet, it gave me a little glimmer of hope to say, yes, this little Jamaican girl can still thrive despite what was going on.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing, your story with us. I'm hearing sort of, those themes of, in the beginning, sort of feeling alone, in that beginning, sort of feeling like, you're going through this life alone and, meeting up on these obstacles, right? With the bullying, with the nicknaming, with the name calls and all of that, and sort of that internal struggle that you're going through as a 7-year-old, right? And you can see how that would be challenging for a 7-year-old to figure out, oh my God, I'm not, as smart as these people, or I'm foolish. Is what they're saying true? So sort of that wrestling. And then, the village raising the child becomes so apparent, right? And so literal in your story, in that, sometimes it literally just takes a few people to help, you to recognize that you have value, right? To counteract, that negativity, right? So needing some positivity and light to enter into, your space. And I think that's sort of what I'm hearing from you, from, your friend, your friend coming in and wanting to, be with you, you entering into sort of a community of other like-minded friends that maybe come from a Christian background, right? And you have that space that you can, sort of just be you with them. And then your aunt, taking the time to spend time with you, listen to you, talk to you about, what's going on, and, sort of that spiritual component as well, sort of giving you that foundation, that grounding, to help you to be able to continue hoping, right? And looking at yourself as much more than what or how these individuals looked at you. And I can completely see how that village raising the child is so literal in your story, for sure.
Yes, no, definitely. And I think that also helped to build that foundation for me. And so, like I said, the story didn't end there. And as individuals surrounded me, I've learned the importance of community. And I have also learned the importance of being that person to help someone get to the next level. Because a lot of times you can look at people, as each and every face looks different. Yeah. So do our stories, and so do our needs. And when I shared my story on numerous occasions, I've had the opportunity to share. A lot of people actually have said to me, we would have never believed, because, I was still head girl at school. I was still doing pretty good, but I had all these bottled up feelings of just feeling like, do I really belong? And I struggled with that. And I took that struggle on with me into my adult life, and not realizing that I had not for myself unearthed and unlocked what was truly inside, and having to deal with those past hurts has helped to propel me now into doing what I do each and every day, helping other individuals to deal with what they deal with. And so, even in my field as a nurse, one of the things that I always talk about is compassion. And having compassion, and as children, naturally, I'm sure now, like a lot of them I see, we talk, we're all good and we're cool. But at the time, that compassion was not there. Yeah. But it taught me that whatever space I'm in, whether I'm in a meeting, whether I'm, talking somewhere, whether I'm talking to a patient, no matter where they come from, no matter what health condition they present, I want to be that individual that's there to help and that's there to give them that glimmer of hope that I also received, as I went through my life. But Tricia, I just think it's just so important for us to press the reset button in life. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love that word reset, hence why my mastermind group is called Reset to Reboot, because you don't have to allow the things that happened to you in the past to dictate what your future is. And that's my resounding theme and my resounding message is that you can use it like that trampoline to propel you into whatever it is that you want to do, into whatever it is that you want to change, and whatever it is that you want to use to help someone else along their journey. And so it just gives me such great joy. And now when I look back at it, I'm thankful that I went through those situations, because when I do meet those individuals who just don't seem to fit in, they may have come from another country, because Bermuda is such a melting pot of different people that transition in and out. I can reach out to them and say, hey, you've got a friend in me. If you need something, I am here for you. So I don't look at those past hurts and am angry with those individuals. I realize that they operated from a place of not understanding and not knowing the impact that they had on my life. And so, it just gives me great joy, even as I coach individuals and help individuals, in my mastermind, to be able to now see that little glimmer of hope.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're doing such great work, right? So taking this opportunity to thank you for your service, like in this COVID times as a nurse, right? And not only are you helping people physically with their health, but, you're also doing the life coach work, which is sort of the mental health piece, right? And transitions are such a fickle period of time, as you know, as a child when you transitioned, right? So when people are going through transitions, right, it's a period of time where, it can be so uncertain and unstable. And, just having an individual help, you through that transition is totally amazing. So, just wanting to thank you for having a service that is willing to be there for a family, for a person, right, who needs sort of that help to transition well. And that's, really what our channel is all about, wanting individuals to recognize that, transitions are normal. We go through them in life. And we have healthcare individuals that, are here to help, right? To help you transition well. And I'm happy to hear, Janice, that you're doing that, in Bermuda for individuals there, for sure.
Yes, I am. I'm so happy to serve. I also chair the Nursing and Midwifery Council, and it's just such a joy to to serve. And I think from a place of pain, when you can propel to service and to help other individuals, there's no greater joy. Yes. Even what you're doing, there's no greater joy, because you just don't know who and whose life can change just from hearing one thing that you say or watching one thing that you do. So I definitely understand. And I thank you for the work that you also do with transitions, because it's amazing how things in life can change. And also, just knowing purpose. I remember my mom telling me, so when I was 3 years old, I was in a terrible accident. I was at the top of a hill where my great grandmother lived in Jamaica. And obviously I can't remember the story. And I was 3, and my father is a mechanic. And my father was under the car fixing something. He got up and apparently mistakenly gave the car an engine start. And the car went over down the hill, through the precipice, into a deep ditch. And everyone thought that I was dead. There was no way I should have been alive. And my mom had prayed for me because she told me this story later on in life because she had 2 boys before me and she really wanted a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And all she could think is, this girl that I wanted is now gone.
Mm-hmm.
And she said there was so much emotions that ran through her. But everyone around was like, oh my goodness, you know, just saying this girl is going to be dead. There's no way she's going to be alive. Mm-hmm. And when they went down into the precipice and finally someone was able to be brave enough to see if they could pry the car and get me out of the car, mm-hmm. I didn't even have a scratch.
Wow, look at God.
I'm telling you, not even a scratch. Yeah. And, you know, when my mom told me that story forever stayed in my heart. Mm-hmm. It reminded me that I have a purpose. Mm-hmm. Because if God at the age of 3 could protect me, and I mean, I've been back to the spot to see what it looked like. And when I see it, the only thing I can say is there is purpose for my pain. There is purpose for my life. And there is no greater joy that comes to me than, as we talked about before, than to serve and to live in my purpose and to enjoy what I'm doing and to make the impact that God gives me to make. Because my strength does not lie within Janice. It all comes from him. And everything I do, everything I say, it comes from him. And so I just want to encourage whoever may be watching this or watching the replay of this. I just want you to know that there is purpose in your life. And the pain that you may be experiencing right now, there is a reason for it. And if you continue to do that deep work by unearthing and unlocking what's inside and really taking the time to reset and to pause, you'd be so amazed what can come out.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that so much. Sort of starting from that place of getting that glimmer of hope from your community, right? And then walking in your purpose. Oh, that's so amazing, right? So that doing that deep work that you talk about, you know, to unearth the thing that, you know, you should do in life. And I hear that sort of planting the seed, you know, from your mom. And that story being, you know, a place that helped you, as you say, on the trampoline to propel, right? You know, I can imagine how that story comes to you from time to time when you're feeling lost, you know, or stuck, and you're like, you know what, I have a purpose. My mom told me that I'm here for a reason, you know. So I can imagine, right, how that planting of the seed has been such an inspiring thing in your life. And thank you for sharing that so that it can inspire others to find, you know, their purpose too.
No, definitely. Definitely. And, you know, there's just so much right now, so much noise going on in the world. And I find that it's just so important to be still. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a text in the Bible that I love, my favorite book, by the way. I love to read, but the Bible is my favorite book. And it says, be still and know that I am God. Mm-hmm. And I think if we just take the time to be still, for me, you know, some of the things I teach is make that time to be still. I am a busy mom, mm-hmm. 2 children, a husband, a lot of things that I do. I write, but I make the time, even if it's 5 minutes, mm-hmm. just to be still. And it's just so much power in forming a routine for yourself. Mm-hmm. I was just listening to something today that was talking about, you know, routine, and whatever that routine looks like, it's mm-hmm. your routine. You don't have to follow anyone else's routine. But, you know, just taking the time for me is always early in the morning. Mm-hmm. I love early mornings. I'm a morning person. My husband's not a morning person, but I'm a morning person. So when everything's quiet, mm-hmm. and I'm just there in that moment, and I can just give gratitude, mm-hmm. you know, give gratitude to God for all he's done. I mean, I'm alive in 2021, you know, just to pause to say, I can breathe, I can smell, you know, to be able to lift my hand to write. And I often say this to people, your purpose is right where you are. Sometimes people feel like I have to be on stages and talking and doing this and making millions. Let me tell you something. I live my purpose every single day. When I walk into that department and I work with the individuals I work with, and I can give a kind word to one of the staff members that I work with, or, help them through something, I'm living my purpose. I'm not going to wait for something magical to happen and for things to fall in place. I'm going to live every day on purpose with purpose, because I know, like I said, I was born here on this earth for a reason. And that reason is to be right where I am today. And I'm telling you, just making that mental discipline. Discipline is a big word for me as I grow, because, hey, I haven't arrived either, right? I'm still working on stuff. Yeah. But I found that my buzzword right now is discipline, because people always ask me, how do you find the time to do what you do? I've had to dedicate myself to disciplining my time, and to making sure that I sagaciously look at everything that I do. My great friend and my prayer partner early in the morning, she always tells me, she's an older lady, wise woman. And, she always says, budget your time. Budget your time, and again, I always share with individuals, it's also important to do an executive review of your life, because companies do it, right? Like if I can do it for a company, I can do it for all these other people. Why can't I pause to look at my life? How am I showing up with my kids? How am I showing up for myself? Do I look at myself and say, hey, this is where you need to improve? That's the only reason why I am where I am. That's the only reason why I transitioned into what God wanted me to be, is because I had to pause and do the hard work. And I'm still doing the hard work. I'm still reading the books. I'm still gaining the knowledge. I'm still sitting at the feet of individuals who are there to help me. I seek those mentors. I ask those questions. I don't wait for them to come to me. I go to them, because if I see that they're doing something well, I go to them and say, hey, how do you do that? How did I get there? I am ever a student, and it's just amazing, when you do that, when you take the time to really get disciplined and get focused and say, hey, this is what I want to do. It's the greatest joy, because I believe that God brought us here on this earth to live in abundance. Yes, this is not the end. I don't believe this is the end. But hey, while you're here, make it great, okay? All days are not going to be, all up and, all great. You're going to have those moments when you have those dips. And so, as my brand has changed the Wave International, and, as a nurse, I look at ECG rhythms, and, everyone's seen a flat line in a movie, anywhere else. If you live life in flat line, you're dead. But there's something about the resuscitation. I've been in events where I have had to give CPR and give resuscitation. And it's something about having that team, because whenever we're doing CPR, we can't do it alone. There's always a team. Yes. And so if you need to reach out for help, you reach out for help from that team. And that's what breathes the life back into an individual. And I love the ECG rhythm, because that's one of the things that helped me to focus and unearth and unlock who I am. Because the ECG rhythm has inflections and deflections, inflections, and that's what makes a normal sinus rhythm. It's not always up, 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 up. And so if we look at that in our lives and we truly understand that it's those moments when you're down in the valley that give you that strength to propel up again. And you realize that if I continue on that trajectory, I'm just living, and I'm going to live the best that I can live each and every day.
Oh man, those tips are so amazing, right? And even when you talk about the EKG rhythms, like, it's almost like that roller coaster effect, right? Recognizing that, it's normal that life's going to go up and down, right? And it's sort of like, the normal rhythm of life, and, just life physically, the way that your heart beats and all of that is an up and down sort of rhythm. and normalizing that. And I really appreciate that because it's so important for people to recognize and that, it's normal to seek help. And I know you talked about sort of, to breathe life back into an individual takes a community, getting back to that village that you talked about earlier, right? So you mentioned, throughout your tips, that idea of stillness. So reducing your anxiety by, having moments of stillness in your life, creating, structure and routine so that you can be disciplined with what you need to do so you can carry out your purpose, and then sort of normalizing, the need for community and people around you to breathe, positivity and life into you as a person. I really appreciate, what you shared with us today. And, I have one question for you, unless there's more that you want to share with us.
No, sure. Go right ahead.
Okay. So my question for you is, how can our listeners reach out to you? Because I know you're in Bermuda and we're in Canada, but we're in a global sort of situation here. So how can people reach out to you, and how can they connect, with you and your group?
So, Tricia, thank you so much again for this opportunity to share today. I am definitely happy that we were able to connect and I was able to share, and I'm praying that it adds value to someone's life. And I am excited about the Reset to Reboot Mastermind. It's led by myself and a co-leader, Ms. LaDana Manhertz Smith. And together we help so many individuals help to unearth and unlock who they are so that they can truly live to life's full potential. And so if you want to follow us or you want to be a part of this mastermind, you can send me a DM on Instagram. We realize that connecting with people today is right there during our social media platforms. And so if you look for Change the Wave International, you'll see me looking at the beautiful blue water here in Bermuda. You can send me a DM and I'll give you all the information on how to connect. Or you can also email me at changethewavebermuda@gmail.com. And there's something else that I love to talk about. Tricia, this is my book. I self-published this book called My Mama is a Nurse. And right now, yes, I wrote this book in a special way to salute nurses. It is a multicultural book. It has nurses represented from all over the world, just as they're represented here in Bermuda. And this book is a simple, easy read book for individuals who have children or godchildren, to basically teach them about some of the things that nurses do. It's my passion project. I was so passionate about writing this book because I wanted to leave this legacy to encourage someone, as the last line says, maybe one day I'll be a nurse too. And you can see right now in this pandemic that nursing is a profession that is definitely needed. And I try wherever I can to promote it. It is the most rewarding profession in the world. So if you would like to obtain a copy of this book, the first person that actually DMs me, I'm going to send this book to you for free, just as a way to say thank you to you. But yes, if you'd like a copy of this book, feel free to DM me or email me, and let's spread the positive message and encourage others to join this amazing profession. My mama is a nurse.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your contact information. We're going to put all of that in the description below, and you could be a lucky winner. Go and, DM Janice to get your copy of that book. Oh, that's so precious, man. So not only sort of inspiring, people to, the nursing profession, but also talking about sort of, transitioning and sharing that with, your children too, right? So that idea of talking about nursing and the profession with a young one. So love that for sure. All right. Well, we had Janice here today, and she shared such a wonderful, inspiring story with us. Thank you again, Janice, for being with us. And there you have it, folks. We're happy to have had Janice with us. And I guess we'll see you next time.